in Peter's description of the largest companies, what was the measure by which they were described as the largest?
Market cap.
Market cap. That tells you everything you need to know about our economy. We are measuring it based on stock price. And we have built an economy in which that is what everybody is told to optimize for. Effectively, when we say technology is taking away jobs, we've got it wrong. Technology does whatever we tell it to do. And we are telling it, optimize for stock price. If we want to have a market that's optimized for people, we have to start telling the market, optimize for people. And so the real question that's the thing that I've learned in the last year of thinking about this and writing the book that I've just finished called WTF, What's the Future and Why It's Up to Us. Because I think there are choices that we have to make. And those choices have to be backed up by thinking through what are the policy interventions that make a difference. And I do think that the previous group of panelists were absolutely right. We're thinking too small. We're thinking way too small. Because we do have an immense opportunity before us. We also have immense challenges. And just rearranging things a little bit is not going to be good enough. And that being said, there are a lot of small things that we can and should do. So when I think about the next couple of years, for me, the biggest priority is to change the narrative. When Paul talked about the rise of shareholder value, that was an idea that was planted, that was nurtured, and that grew, and that took over the thinking of policymakers, that took over the thinking of CEOs. We're now at a tipping point where that thinking is being questioned. And there is an opportunity to replace it with fresh thinking. Unfortunately, many people who are on the progressive side simply say, oh, well, we just have to go back to the old thinking. And I don't think that's right either. So we have to think forward. So I want to bring it round to this independent worker angle, which is really the subject of our meeting tonight. And the thing I've been thinking about is that there really are, there's something new in the world of independent work, and that is platforms. Because in the old days, an independent worker really was truly independent. But today, independent workers are doing their work increasingly through network platforms. And it's very obvious. You see that in the case of Uber and Lyft or Airbnb, or TaskRabbit or any of the other sort of on-demand platforms. By the way, I've heard, for example, that Amazon Flex expects to be bigger than Lyft within the year. So there's a lot of action in that area. But there are also platforms like YouTube and Facebook, and people who are making their living off of those. There are platforms like Google, which sends traffic and either sends it to other people or sends it to itself. And one of the big questions is the allocation of value between platforms and the people who work for them. And the question that we have to ask, first of all, is this big question about financialization of the economy, so that Uber, for example, will say, oh, we have to optimize for this valuation that we have to grow into. People are valuing us at $60 billion, and we're only going to get there if we can take over the world and become super profitable, and that's how we'll win that stock price. But there is a different allocation, and one in which we can start to ask ourselves, how do we measure the benefit to all of the participants in the ecosystem? And we've kind of talked about that in the last panel, but I really think it begins with a new set of metrics and a new set of conversations about what we measure and what we think about in the economy of the future.